Hi guys, welcome to 5mantra.com. This is Rajesh, Faculty of Gender Studies, is here to explain you the MCQs from paper 2 of GS, that is Indian Polity and Constitution. So in our series of Polity MCQs, today's class is going to introduce you the new concept, new chapter, that is called System of Government. So in this System of Government, we have a series of chapters, as we have completed with the constitutional background as first chapter, and under that we have completed the different chapters on that, and now we are stepping into the system of government. And in the system of government, the first topic I would like to take to you is parliamentary system. So in the parliamentary system, I am gonna explain you the MCQs related to the parliamentary system with deep insights. So coming to the first question, which one among the following has the power to regulate the right of citizenship in India? So it is about the citizenship of India. So it makes the citizenship of India belongs to the part 2 of the constitution, which makes 5 to 11, article 5 to article 11. These articles tells about the citizenship of India. So it is asking that which one among the following has the power to regulate the right of citizenship in India. So the regulating power is which, what? So the options are the Union Cabinet, second option the Parliament, third option the Supreme Court, and last option the Law Commission. So the Union Cabinet is a part of Union Council of Ministers. It is a like nodule, like a nucleus of Union Council of Ministers, because Union Council of Ministers consists of whole ministry that consists of cabinet ministers, deputy ministers, and ministry of state. So these cabinet ministers are a part of union minister, and they don't have any power to regulate the right of citizenship in India. So you can eliminate the first option. Second option, the parliament. So the parliament has the constituent power to regulate the right of citizenship in India. So the second option seems to be the correct one. So let's examine the rest two also, and then we'll come to the concluding part of the answer. So the third option is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also doesn't have the right of regulate to right of citizenship. It can only gives the guidelines. It can give the guidelines, but it cannot have the power. It doesn't hold the power of regulating the citizenship in India. So the Supreme Court is wrong. And it's Law Commission. Law Commission doesn't have a competent authority to regulate this right of citizenship in India. So it is the Parliament which has the power to regulate the right of citizenship in India. So option B is the correct one. So coming to the next option, the Parliament can make any law for the whole or any part of India for implementing international treaties. So the options are with the consent of all the state, or second option with the consent of majority of the state, third option with the consent of state concerned, and D without the consent of any state. So the Parliament can make any law for a whole or any part of the India in order to implement any international treaty. So that if for example, if a concerned part of the Indian territory is subjected to this law in order to implement the international territory, and that concerned territory is under a state government, and that state government will not be concerned, because it is like a unitary feature where the central government is all powerful to decide the law, the implementation of the law in a particular territory of a state in the perspective of implementing an international treaty. Here a state does not have any territorial integrity. It is only the central government which decides the territorial integrity of the state. So option D is the correct answer, like the Parliament can make any law for the whole or any part of the India for implementing international treaties, that too without any consent of any state, without any consent of any state. So the option D is the correct one. So coming to the next question, the Constitution of India is republican in nature because. So here you have to know the term of republic, the explanation behind the term called republic. I'll explain you after the spelling out of the options for you. First option is it provides for elected parliament. Second option, it provides for adult franchise. Third option, it contains a bill of rights. And last option, it has no hereditary elements. First, I would like to explain you what do you mean by republic. So in the preamble we have a term the describing Indian polity as a republican country, like republican polity. So what do you mean by this republic? The term republic says that every citizen in our country is have the freedom to join any public employment, like public employment in our country is open for every citizen without any discrimination. That's the first point. Second point is the head of the state will be an elected one, either directly or indirectly, directly by the people or indirectly through the representatives of the people. The head of the state should be an elected person. So India is a republic in nature because we have an elected head. We have an elected head of the state. Who is the head of the state? The President of India is the head of the state, and he has no system of hereditary because he will be elected. The post of the President of India is open to any citizens of our country. So that is why we can see a person who is a newspaper vendor and then become a scientist, and then he became a president of India, because in India the public employment and the office called president is open to any citizen of our country. So this nature is called republic in nature. So we have no hereditary elements in the perspective of electing a head of the state. So the option D is the correct answer for this, because we have no hereditary elements. That is why Constitution of India is republic in nature. Coming to the other three options, let me explain you the three options. First option, it provides for an elected parliament. Obviously our parliament, which is consisting of Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha and president, where the Rajya Sabha acts as the upper house, Lok Sabha as the lower house, and the president is the head of the state, like head of the parliament too. Is an elected body, because the Lok Sabha, the members of the Lok Sabha are directly elected by the people, and coming to the members of the Rajya Sabha are indirectly elected by the people for a time period of 6 years, and the Lok Sabha for a time period of 5 years. So the members of the Lok Sabha are elected by the people's representatives, that is indirectly elected by the people, and the president, I told you that he got elected indirectly by the people's representatives. The whole body of parliament is an elected body, but this statement is not relevant to the term called republic, so you can eliminate that. Second option, provides for an adult franchise. So Indian constitution provides a universal adult franchise for the citizens, for us, under article 326. What do you mean by this universal adult franchise? Every person who got an age of 18 years, like who crossed the 18 years of age, is entitled to cast their vote without any discrimination on any grounds. Every citizen is entitled to cast his vote if he crosses the 18 years. Okay, earlier it would be in 21 years, but according the 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, which got enacted in 1989 under the Rajiv Gandhi government, the age from 21 years it got reduced to 18 years, and if any of us have crossed the 18 years of age, we got the entitlement to cast our vote without any discrimination on any grounds. So that is called the universal adult franchise, which we have been provided by the Constitution of India under article 326. And next option is, it contains a bill of rights. What do you mean by bill of rights? It's a set of rights mentioned in the constitutional document, that is called fundamental rights. A bill of rights is nothing but fundamental rights. So these bill of rights first originated in the American Constitution, and we have taken the bill of rights with suitable modification to our Indian society from the American Constitution. So this is the bill of rights, but this is also will not support the term called republic. And the last option, we have no hereditary elements, that is anyone can become the head of the state, that is president of India, and that president of India is elected is an elected head, that is maybe probably like either directly or indirectly by the people. So the fourth option is the correct option for this question. So coming to the next question, suppose a legislation was passed by the parliament imposing certain restrictions on newspapers. These included page ceiling, price and advertisements. These restrictions include page ceiling, price and advertisements. The legislation is included in the 9th schedule to the Constitution of India. In this context, which one among the following statement is correct? So in this question you have to take care of keywords called legislation imposing certain restrictions on newspaper, first keyword. Second keyword is it is included in the 9th schedule of the constitution. It is the second keyword. So let's examine the options first. First option, the legislation is invalid as it violates the freedom of press. Second option, the legislation is valid by the virtue of Article 31B. That's the second option. Third option, the legislation is invalid as it imposes unreasonable restrictions under Article 19 of the Constitution. The last option is the legislation is valid as the press is not a citizen under Article 19 of the Constitution. So let me explain you the two keywords. First is the legislation passed by the Parliament imposing certain restrictions on the newspaper. So the newspaper, which is a part of press, which is the fourth estate to our polity, is a part of freedom rights, that is Article 19. So we have the freedom of press under Article 19. So if the Parliament imposes restrictions on the freedom of newspaper, that is on the newspaper, that is freedom of press, it has imposed the restrictions on the enactment of fundamental right under Article 19. So that legislation implementation amounts to the violation of fundamental rights. It is not a welcome step. It will not be a valid one. Definitely it is not valid. But it is not valid under which grounds? Let us examine. First one is the legislation is invalid, obviously correct, as it violates the freedom of press. No, it's not, like obviously it is violating the freedom of press, but by citing that reason you cannot say that this legislation is invalid because I told you the whatever the fundamental rights are not absolute in nature. They are subjected to the suspension and amendment also, and imposing restrictions by the government, by the state also, by citing a reasonable ground. So without citing a reasonable ground, if any state imposes restrictions on the enactment of fundamental rights, then it would amount to the invalid or strike down thing under judicial review by the judiciary. But here the option is the legislation is invalid as it violates the fundamental the freedom of press. But in this option we don't have any precondition that whether it is reasonable or unreasonable. So you cannot, even though it seems to be the correct one, you cannot take the side of first option. Second option, the legislation is valid by virtue of Article 31B. So the legislation first itself is not a valid thing. So you can eliminate the second option. Coming to the Article 31B, Article 31B is under Article 31B, if any certain laws which are violating the Article 14 and 19 will be guarded by Article 31B. If you place any provision under Article 31B and that provision, if it violates the Article 14 and 19, then it will be protected, it will get protected from the face of judicial review. So but it is not the situation over here, so the second option is wrong. So the third option, the legislation is invalid as it imposes unreasonable restrictions on or under Article 19 of the Constitution. So obviously it is the correct option, because as I told you, the mentioning of precondition term called reasonable or unreasonable is much important. So here the third option, the legislation is invalid as it imposes unreasonable restrictions under Article 19 of the Constitution. So the third option seems to be correct, and let me conclude after the examination of last option. The legislation is valid as the press is not a citizen under Article 19 of the Constitution. As I told you, press is a part of Article 19 because we have a freedom of press under Article 19. It is a subject under the freedom of press under Article 19. So the option D is completely wrong and you can eliminate it. So the option C is the correct answer for this question. And the next question is, which one of the following pairs is not correctly matched? First option, power of Parliament to create a new state. Second option, power of state legislature to alter the name of the state. Third option, equality before the law. It will be applied to both Indian and non-Indian citizen. Last option, the equality of opportunity, that is, it is applied to Indian citizen. So which is not correctly matched? You have to sense out. First, it is the power of Parliament to create new state. Yes, it is the constituent power of Parliament to create a new state, either by merging two states into one state, or bifurcating an existing state into two states, or adding a territory to the new state. It can create a new state. So finally I want to say you that the territorial integrity the territorial integrity is in the hands of Parliament. It is nowhere over there. We don't have any territorial integrity. It is the Parliament which decides how the states would be, either in the form of creation of state or merging of the state, whatever it may be. So the territorial integrity of the state is in the hands of Parliament. So the first option is correct. Second, the power of state legislature to alter the name of a state. So in order to alter the name of a state, first the resolution should be passed in the Rajya Sabha, which is a council of state, and then that resolution can be passed in the Rajya Sabha with a simple majority, that is 1/3 majority. But after the passing out that resolution in the Rajya Sabha with 1/3 majority, that should be subjected to the special majority resolution passing in the state legislature, in the concerned state legislature. Here it is not only the state legislature power in the concept of altering the name of a state, the role of Rajya Sabha has to be taken care of over here. So the second option seems to be very relevant to the question. So let me conclude that after examination of other two. Third option, equality before the law, is applicable to both Indian and non-Indian citizen. It is Article 14, and Article 14 is applied to both Indian and non-Indian citizens, and there are some fundamental rights which are only to the Indians, that is Article 15, Article 16, Article 19, Article 29 and Article 30. These 5 articles are exclusively for the Indian citizen, and rest of the fundamental rights are applicable to both in citizens and non-citizens. So the third option is correct, because Article 14 is not a part of the exclusive articles applied to our citizens. The last option is equality of opportunity, that is to Indian citizen. Equality of opportunity is under Article 16, which is exclusive for Indian citizen. So it is the correct option. So here the pair which is not correctly matched is second option. Power of state legislature is altering the name of a state. So these are the questions, guys, under the parliamentary system. So hope it would enhance your preparation potential. If it's so, please raise your thumb and follow us on 5mantra.com. Thank you.